We do have a special announcement this Thursday, May 6th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time. I'm going to be a guest on BS with Todd, and the subject's going to be how to label your network infrastructure. And we're going to talk about the pitfalls of labeling your structured cable plant. Make sure you join us, and make sure you tell them Chuck sent you. Salutations, everybody. I'm sitting here doing the show, and I forgot to hit the go live button. Oh, geez. Well, the good news is you missed all the part that I messed up, so now it's fresh. So hello, everybody. Start off every show with, what are you drinking? Chuck's drinking water with lemon essential oil, because remember, water, citrus, got to do avoid that kidney stone stuff. So make sure you tell us in the chat box, right? What are you drinking? Hello, Fernando. Hello, Shotzi. I don't know. Shotzi was drinking a Diet Dr. Pepper. I apologize for being late. Class went to 6 o'clock on the nose. It was a Western class, so I was kind of really super busy today. Super busy. But I made it here on time, and I'm still trying to get my lighting to work right. I don't know why it's just so wacky. It's going to make it harder for me to read, right? So one of the things I wanted to do tonight is I want to kind of like extend the thing that I do at 8:10 every Monday morning. What is the acronym challenge, right? So here's the acronym challenge for today's show, right? The acronym challenge. So this one's a new one. I actually just learned this acronym challenge because, and I thought I knew, well, I didn't know every acronym, but I thought I knew a lot of acronyms, right? This is a new one. And we got this one from reading the TDMM in our study group. And I'm reading through there, and it talks about an SDO. SDO. So what the heck's that? I've never heard that acronym. So I went to the acronym section in the TDMM. It's not in there. I went to the ICT terminology handbook. It's not in there. So I had to do a Google search to find out what SDO means. What do you think SDO means? Shotzi, I know you know what it means because you were in the class when we talked about it. What does SDO mean? SDO is an acronym for Standards Developing Organizations. ANSI, ISO are SDOs. They develop standards. That's what an SDO is. So there you go. How about that? New acronym. Start this one off with. So there you go. So remember, hey, what are your questions? Make sure you put your questions in the chat box. I do have some questions that people had asked ahead of time, so I'm going to cover those first. But before I cover those, safety first. I got to put on my safety glasses. So the first question comes from Bluebell, Pennsylvania, and it says, Chuck, I am estimating a project for a small office. How can I tell if I should use plenum or riser-rated cabling? Okay, so the first thing is, I'm assuming, well, if you have the opportunity to go to the customer site, go out there and look at the ceiling, right? And then you can verify whether it's plenum or riser-rated. If it's a competitive bid scenario where you don't have the ability to do that, then I would send what's called an RFI, a request for information, request for interpretation, RFI. And I would ask the customer specifically, let me turn this up. There's where all my lights coming from. There's my issue. My TV was still turned on. Now let's turn these much better. So yeah, I would send an RFI to the customer and say, hey, is your ceiling plenum or riser-rated? Especially if you're in a competitive bid scenario, because you want to make sure that everybody is bidding it the exact same way you are. Because if they bid it with riser-rated cable and you're putting in plenum-rated cable, that's going to cause your price to be more expensive than theirs, and you're going to lose that project. So you want to make sure that you clarify that. So that's always a fun thing to do. Even if you do get everything right, a lot of people don't know this. As an estimator, you are probably only going to win somewhere between 8 and 12 or 13% of the projects you bid. So you want to make sure you have all the information possible and only bid what the customer asks for, even if you know that it's wrong. you can always handle that afterwards, right? When you submit the bid, you can say, here's the price for the proposal, exactly how you have it in the bid, but you're missing this, this, and this, and this is how much it's going to cost to do that extra stuff. So that way it gives the customer the ability to compare your bid to somebody else's bid. Now, for as far as plenum rated ceilings, if it's a new construction site, it's going to be a little easier. All you got to do is just contact the general contractor and ask them, is it going to be a plenum rated ceiling or a riser rated ceiling, right? And they can get from that. And or if they don't know, you can contact the architects. They should be able to tell you as well. If you have to do a site visit, when you get out on this job site and you walk around, if you're looking at the ceiling, it's got like a drop tile ceiling, and every once in a blue moon, you'll see that plastic grate that you can see up through the grate. Well, that's telling you it's a plenum rated ceiling. But you got to be careful because part of the building might be riser rated, so you got to watch out for that, right? So the next question is from Dallas, and this is a power over Ethernet question. It says, does the 90-meter limit also apply to power over Ethernet? The answer to that's yes. Can I extend another 90 meters with another power over Ethernet? No, because it's not an amplifier. It's the power over Ethernet, the injector, whether it's mid-span or end span, it's just putting DC current on that cable with the voice and data signal, or voice or data signal. So it still can't go past that 90 meters, right? Even though the power might be able to go past it, the data portion can't. So remember to put your questions in the chat box. The next question is from San Jose. And it says, we're adding racks to a telecom room, and the bus bar does not have enough holes to mount the new cable. Can we just drill holes through the bus bar and add the cable? No, you can't. Well, take a step back. Depends on the manufacturer. The standard says we're supposed to be using pre-drilled bus bars. And so what they do is the current carrying capability of the bus bar is calculated based on how much copper is in the bus bar. If you start drilling holes through the bus bar, you're reducing the current carrying capability of the bus bar. Hey, George, how you doing? What you drinking, George? Put it in the chat box so we know what you're drinking. With that being said, so if I'm assuming that you said there's no spots open on your bus bar, you have two options, and they're both going to, I'd have to price them to see which one's going to be more expensive, but my gut feeling is they're both going to be expensive. If it's something you got to get up right now and you can't wait, then what I would do is because one of the ways you're supposed to be doing the telecom equipment bonding conductor, one of the best ways to do the telecom equipment bonding conductor, the TEBC is the conductor that goes from the bus bar and it goes through the rack system over top of the racks to the furthest one, then it attaches. And then anyone's between, you can just run a short jumper up and then attach it to that telecom equipment bonding conductor and then face it back towards the source. So if you're adding a new rack to the end of that, now you don't want to splice it. So you want to replace that TEBC to go to the newest location and then redo your jumpers. Hopefully there's enough slack on them. If not, you're going to have to redo the conductor and the compression fitting on that as well. So that's one way of doing that. Another way of doing it is to go buy another bus bar, mount it next to the first bus bar, connect those two bus bars together. Now, when you connect those two bus bars together, that conductor should be the same size as the largest conductor in the system. And then all you gotta do is run a conductor from your new rack back to the new thing. So, but either way, it's going to be a pain in the neck. Either way, it's going to be kind of costly. Just kind of really depends on how much time it is that you have. Okay, next question. Don't see any questions coming in the chat box yet. What is the difference between a transition point and a consolidation point? This question comes from Kansas. Okay, start off with a consolidation point. A consolidation point is used to make moves, adds, changes easier from doing cabling for modular furniture. You will come across consolidation points way more often than transition points. So the cable comes into the consolidation point. It lands on something like a 110 block. You're going to terminate it. You're going to put a C4 clip on it, and then you're going to run a cable from that C4 clip through the furniture, plug and right into a jack on the actual furniture itself. That's a consolidation point. It is designed for you to get in there to move that change. You don't want the customer getting in there, but it's designed for the cable technician. So what's a transition point? A transition point is used to change flat undercarpet cable to round cable. Flat undercarpet cable to round cable, right? Now, I answer your question with just 1 second, Fernando. Undercarpet cabling. So you have a location, slab on grade construction somewhere, and there's a location out in the middle of the floor. So you can't do a core drill because it's on the first floor. There's ground underneath of you. The customer doesn't want a power pole hanging out of their ceiling. So the only other option is to run a flat undercarpet cable. It's classified by the NEC as CMUC. So what you're going to do is you're going to run that flat cable from the location underneath the carpet to the wall, and then typically you put this down before the carpet's installed. You glue it to the floor. The carpet people put the carpet on top of that. You run that flat cable up into the wall, and you cut a hole into the wall, and then they make these little special boxes that look like miniature 110 box. You put it in there, you terminate your flat cable onto that, you put on the clip, and then you put the round cable terminating on top of that, and then the round cable goes all the way back to the telecom room. The cable to the transition point, you want to try to limit it to no more than 20 feet, and you really want to stay away from transition points because, number one, they leave what's called witness lines. A witness line means because there's something underneath the carpet, and when people keep walking over top of that, when they push mail cards over top of that, the carpet is actually going to get leave lines. So if it's like a dark color, you'll start seeing light color lines. It's just from the wear. That's called a witness line, and it could potentially damage a cable. Another problem with the transition point is because the cable is glued to the floor. If they decide to move that desk from there back over to here, you're not going to have enough slack. You're going to have to literally have the carpet people rip up the carpet and do that. Another problem with transition points. Let's say that something goes bad with the connector or the conductor. You have very little slack there because remember, it's glued to the ground, and it's usually in a floor-mounted doghouse. And that's going to just cause you all kinds of problems. So stay away from undercarpet cabling. So Fernando asks, he's got a question from a customer this week. Do you recommend the use of plenum in an underground conduit? No. Well, be a little more specific with the underground. Is it slab on grade construction? I mean, is it actually in direct contact with the earth? Is that what you're talking about? If that is the case, no, because plenum is a porous type of jacket, so it can't absorb that moisture, and when it gets wet, that's going to affect the performance of the cable. So I would not recommend plenum cable in a conduit if that conduit is in direct earth contact, right? So based on the definition of plenum, there we go. Based on the definition of plenum, underground conduit is not a plenum space. Exactly right. You hit the nail right on the head, Fernando. Very good, very good. I forgot that I can do this. I totally forgot about that. So there was his original question. If you missed it, so yeah, no, my answer to that is do not put a plenum rated cable in a buried conduit. Use flooded cable, and don't forget to put the lightning protection on that as well. Right there you go. So the next question, and this one came from Phoenix, Arizona. It says, Chuck, do you recommend terminating fiber in a dirty environment? So by dirty environment, I'm assuming what they mean is a new construction site. That's what I'm assuming with what they're meaning. Okay, well, considering that the number one enemy to fiber is contamination, dust, dirt, and debris, why would you want to be terminating it in a dirty environment? So you want it to be as clean as possible. So wait until after the construction. You can rough the cable in during construction, but wait until maybe like the move-in to terminate and test it if you can, right? So that way it's a cleaner environment. Or you can buy pre-terminated fiber, and then that way it's good to go. It's already terminated in a clean environment. So I do not recommend doing that at all, period, because it will cause you all kinds of problems, The next question I got, and this one actually comes from San Jose, California. It says, Chuck, why does my punch tool have a high and low setting on it? I got a punch tool right here. So the high and low setting, it determines how much pressure that the punch tool pushes the conductor into the termination field. You should have your punch tool set on high when you're terminating 66 blocks or 110 blocks. If you're terminating on a jack, if you're terminating on a patch panel, you really should have it set on low. Inside that patch panel, inside that connector is a printed circuit board. If you have your punch tool set on high, you can damage the printed circuit board. The printed circuit board can cause you all kinds of. Then when you go test it, then you can find out it's bad, and you go back and replace the connector, and it's going to cause you even more problems. Another question is, Chuck, and this one actually comes from Albuquerque, New Mexico. It says, Chuck, can we still install OM1 and OM2 fiber? Is it recommended? Nope. We're supposed to be installing, well, it depends on where you read. The TDM says OM4, if I remember right. Some manufacturers say OM3 and OM4. You really want to stay from OS1 and OS2. But again, what is that fiber doing? Is it a building backbone, or is it going to a parking lot? If it's game out in the parking lot, OS1, OM1, OM2 will be fine. But building backbone, no, you really want to stay with what the standard says. That's going to guarantee them bandwidth so they can go ahead and get what they need out of that. Okay. So that was the last question I had ahead of time. So anybody have any questions, put it in the chat box. Or show recommendations. I got a couple cool interviews coming up. I think I talked about them last week. I'm going to keep them quiet until I get them done. I actually reminds me I was supposed to send that one person the questions, and I didn't do it yet. So if you're listening, I'm sorry. I'll send it to you this week. So what questions do you have? What's your favorite question for your favorite RCDD? Let me know. Again, I apologize about being late today. So other things going on. There's going to be a really cool webinar coming up on single pair Ethernet. That is one of my weak areas, so I'm definitely going to be attending that. Single pair Ethernet is another avenue where they're doing Ethernet over basically just two conductors. This is obviously not going to be for like computers or phones and stuff like this. This is for building automation or industrial Ethernet, and it's not going to be 40 gig. At least I don't think it is. I'll be able to tell you better once I watch that webinar. And if you're interested, let me know, and I will give you the link to attend that single pair Ethernet. It's not mine. I'm not the one doing it. It's somebody else doing it. It's somebody else within the same company I work that's doing it. But single pair Ethernet and building automation, all that's really doing is it's expanding how much work we can do, right? So for many, many years, people would say, copper cable is going away, but now we're doing, nurse call cabling, we're doing patient monitoring stuff, we're doing HVAC, we're doing digital signage. All this stuff needs copper cable. So it's more stuff for us to be able to do, which just makes it a lot more easier. So yes, so George points out Infocom is coming up in Orlando. Do you know what the date for that is, George? Matter of fact, the last time I went to Infocom, I went with George. Had a great time there. It's a really, for those who don't know what Infocom is, it's kind of like the Bixby event for the audio video industry, right? So if you want to learn more about HDMI and signal extension products and what is the newest, latest display, what is the newest, latest digital signage, the display walls and the mounting systems, and also you can get your certifications there as well. It's a really cool event to go to. I had a video on one of my older YouTube channels, digital reality. So you actually would look at the screen and you can kind of like reach in and you can spin the globe, but you actually weren't touching the globe. It was really, really cool. So George was kind enough to find that out for us. So it's going to be October. That's not coming up. That's 6 months away, George. October 23rd to the 29th. And the exhibits is 27th to 29th. So you have plenty of time to get signed up for that. I think when I went with George last time, I think we only did the exhibits, but it's a great thing to go to. It really, really is. So, any other questions? We're at 20 minutes in. I have 10 minutes left. If not, I'm just going to cut it short. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? I'll give you guys another few minutes to answer. Let me ask you this while some people are still typing. What are you doing to increase your knowledge? What are you doing to increase your knowledge? What are you doing to make yourself, my wife's going to love this. What are you doing to make yourself 10% better? What are you doing to make yourself 10% better? What certification are you working towards? What book are you reading? I just got a new book, actually. Just came in. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. It's called The 12 Rules for Life, and it's by Jordan Peterson. Can't wait to start reading that. I got to give me some downtime to do that. So, did get another question in. How's the bike? The bike's doing fine. For those who may not know, I bought a used Harley Davidson Ultra Classic. So I got a ride this weekend. I'm going to be doing that ride as well. So any other questions? He bought the TDMM manual today. Very good, Fernando. Very good. Very good. So do you plan on taking your RCDD test? Have you joined any kind of a study group yet? Shotzi said he's been reading lots of white papers. What kind of white papers are you reading, Shotzi? Let us know. Let us know what it is that you're actually reading. For those who don't know what a white paper is, and I don't know why they call it a white paper. Maybe because the paper's white. I don't know. It's like a research document. It's very technical, and they're generally very hard to read. They are. So he said he's going to go for his RCDD and his PMP certification. Very good. Assuming you're going to go for the RCDD first, since you listed that one first. Good luck with that. We're halfway through a study group right now. Otherwise, I'd let you join the study group and you can go through it. We're already halfway through it, and you'd be too hard for you to catch up. I might be doing another study group after this one finishes. I'm just kind of playing it by ear when we get done. The PMP certification, that's a great one. Make sure you watch go to my YouTube channel or go to my podcast and listen to the PMP certification series I did. I compared and contrasted the Bixie's Registered Telecommunications Project Management Profession certification with the PMP certification. And I actually brought in an interview, a person who's a PMP and a person who has their RTPM. So make sure you watch those. You might get some good tidbits in there from you as well. So, what study aids are you using, Fernando, to study for your RCDD? Let me know. What else is going on new in the industry? Anybody know anything interesting article? I just actually read an article today, although it wasn't printed recently. Cable Installation Maintenance Magazine. Somebody asked me the question in class today: what is the outside diameter of Category 8 cable? Category 8 cable. Not many people are making Category 8 cable right now. So I did the research and found the information. The outside diameter for one of them that I found was 0.354 inches. For those who don't know how big that is, that's 9 millimeters. So as gun people, think about that. That 9 millimeter pistol that you got that you're shooting, that's how big that conductor is. It's 9 millimeters. Yes. So Category 8 was really designed for data centers, and so the maximum length is going to be 30 meters, if I remember right off the top of my head. So it's really not for your office cabling kind of stuff. And we're still kind of in the new infancy stage, even though they published that paper in 2016. There's still not a lot of it being installed yet. There's some. I did hear of a project within my company where they're doing Cat 8, but it is. So I'm assuming you're asking how you can participate in the next group. Is that what you're asking, Fernando? So just keep in. You'll probably hear me announce when we finish that first group. When I do, just remind me, and I'll send you the link for the next one. And if we decide to go and do another one, and this every week we meet, we read 70 pages. We meet, and then we go through what challenges we have, and we try to what areas did you read that you have problems with, and then we do a little fun game where we each write questions and we just kind of go around and hit each other with questions and see if we can stump each other up. So, and then that's recorded, and then those people in that study group have access to the page, so they can review it if they want. They also have access to free practice exams that I'm currently writing as well. So I'm not done with them yet, and I'm far behind in what I'm supposed to be doing, but we're getting there slowly but surely. Any other questions? Okay. I'll give you guys another second or two. Can't think of anything else new that I've come across here lately. other than the single pair Ethernet and the Cat 8 stuff. So nothing. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and end this class, or end this class. I'm still in teaching mode. We're going to end today's Q&A session. It can be another short one. It's only 25 minutes long. I appreciate each and every one of you guys that come, especially my regulars, Fernando, Shotzi, and George. You guys are consistent. You're always here, always on time, even when Chuck's late. So until next time, everybody, be safe.